let's hop into the AL Central. This is it's a division. It's a division for sure. I think it's a two-team division. But let's hop into first the Detroit Tigers. Key additions, of course, Framber Valdez. That's going to help their rotation a ton. I already like some of the arms they have. Justin Verlander at age what, like 40, he's going to be at the back end of their rotation.
Mhm.
You are re-signing Gleyber Torres. You're signing Kenley Jansen for the bullpen that kind of struggled last year. That's where they need help. Kyle Finnegan re-signed and Slater. You're losing Foley, Urquidy, Chase Lee, Paddock, Seawald, and Rafael Montero. Seawald was really solid for them last year. So I mean, there's a couple. The main one that sticks out to me here is Framber Valdez. If you want to get
Right.
into the lineup and the rotation for Detroit, Martino.
Yeah, so rotation-wise, this is arguably it's in the conversation of one of the better ones in the American League. Obviously, we got Boston, the Yankees, Seattle. Um, this is clearly the best in the division. When you have Skubal there, Framber is really this sort of insurance for when and if when Skubal leaves. I think it also depends depending on how their
Yeah.
season goes. Flaherty is still fine. Verlander back there, I think that's like a good intangible add. He was fine in San Francisco last year.
Yeah.
Still very respectable in my opinion. This is one of the greatest arms that has ever lived in Major League Baseball. As far as the lineup goes, we know they have one of the top studs in the prospect landscape with McConaughey. Gleyber Torres still reliable. Riley Green, Torkelson had bounce back years. Colt Keith, Dylan Dingler, McKinstry, Parker Meadows. I just like you. I'm reading all these names and I'm just like, this
It's
is.
underwhelming. It
They
is.
almost had the greatest collapse of all time last year.
I
A
know.
lot of people forget that they
Yeah.
snuck in. They won the series. I believe what against the Guardians, right?
Yes.
That kind of like put to bed some of that stuff, but really hard to forget. They had the Cy Young Award winner on their team. Again, the staff is much better. There's no zero denying that. I question the offense, and ultimately that's where I'm at. And I guess I don't know. Bullpen is kind of. I don't have a strong opinion on it. I don't
I
love
listen,
the Tigers
I
this year.
honestly I do have a very strong opinion on it. I don't think it's good. Like I don't think that you could really rely on Kenley Jansen to be your like 1A back of the rotation, back of the bullpen closer that's going to be perfect throughout the entirety of the season. That's hard for me to imagine. I'm sorry. Like I'm not I don't think he was that bad with the Angels last season, but at this point in his career, like there's a reason why the Dodgers got rid of him. I think that hoping he's going to return to form, like in a role dish or in something along those lines, when he only
This
has really
is
tell
that
me,
I really am sick of the Tigers. The way
yes,
they run this franchise is so stupid. You want to keep Skubal. You don't trade him away, despite the year left on the contract, even last year, because you competed and you had a really nice postseason in 2024. You just snuck in 25. Just snuck in. So, in your opinion as to why you keep that pitcher is because you think you have a chance in an open AL, right? Let's just call it that. Or at
yeah,
least in this division, you should win it. We have a great chance of winning. These teams don't try in this division. These ownerships don't give a shit. And you're going to sit there and hold on to this pitcher that you know you're not going to extend. Why not just pay money up front for hitters? You do it with Framber Valdez only because he fell into your lap, not because you wanted to do that. That was not a proactive move. It was because no one wanted to touch him because he had to put out this PR video that he's a good teammate, which shows signs that you're not a good teammate if you have to do that. This is the stupidity of it. It reminds me, and I've said it for a while now, the Manny Machado situation with the Baltimore Orioles, where you
yeah,
know you're not good enough to win the AL pennant or even the World Series. You're holding on to your star player for what? Maybe to sell some tickets or hope for a miracle come deadline, something. They could be in a position in which they aren't good enough that they have to trade away Skubal come deadline and not get as much in return prospect wise as they should have if you sell them off last year or a last deadline. Like it was last deadline, they weren't going to do it because they were still in the lead for the division. They were in a huge gap. This is not that good enough of a team.
yeah.
I think that they did a disservice to what this core of the staff was, and it's going to backfire this year. I am not down on more at a singular team in Major League Baseball than I am on the Detroit Tigers, and I have nothing against them. I don't think that they did enough to put all the chips in the middle with a Tariq Skubal in this division because this
Yeah,
division's not great. You needed to do something that guarantees a separation, and they didn't do that. So like they annoy me
that's
greatly.
it's a lot of it's a lot of money being spent on the wrong players. Like you go and you give Javi Baez this contract, and like this shortstop his position, the shortstop position has been in flux for like the past 2 years now. They kind of got lucky with Gleyber Torres. I mean, as far as we're concerned here in New York, he wasn't going to be anything special. Like Yankees
Right.
fans were basically running Gleyber Torres out of town by the time he was out of here. He turned it
Yeah.
around, turned it into an all star. I do like Dylan Dingler actually. I think he's a really solid catcher. But I mean, there's a couple of guys here like Riley Green. Is he gonna take the next level as a Major League Baseball player? He's batting fourth for this team. The lineup, if McGonigal doesn't turn into this
Stud.
all-world phenomenal shortstop that he's supposed to be, the lineup is going to struggle. It's going to struggle big time. This team is going to be carried by pitching. I think it's going to be on the backs of Scooble, Valdez, Flaherty, and we'll see what happens with it. But their line right now is set at 85.5. Zips has them under at 83. And honestly, I agree. I think this division is straight up trash. I
Yeah.
don't think, I think the only team that has potential to jump 85 wins is the Royals. We'll hop into their
Right.
projection next. So yeah, I am leaning under, not by a lot. I do agree with the Zips projection. I have them anywhere between 80 and 85 wins. And that's with Tariq Skubal pitching at like a Cy Young level.
Again.
That's the difference. It's like you have one of the best pitchers in baseball and you can really only scratch across 80 to 85 wins. That,
Again, the
you know,
crawl to the
yeah,
finish line.
crawl to the finish line. We're to the point where the Guardians, I mean, they looked like the much better team for the second half of the season.
Right. Right.
So, which is crazy to say, considering all the talent that team has. I feel like we've been waiting on Torkelson to break out for a while now. It's just like,
He had like a bounce back-ish year. He had some pop, but like it's just there are like 0 guys where you're like, "Oh, I have 0 doubts about this hitter. He's gonna bring it to an all-star
exactly.
level worthy player." There's a lot of pressure on McGonagall. That's where I just don't like the Tigers,
I
and
agree.
it's a problem. Staff is great though.
Yeah.
Hard to argue with it.
So, what are you? Where are you?
I have
You're
under. I
under
have
as
under.
well.
I don't
Yeah.
like them. I
Okay.
just don't like
Yeah.
them.
I no. I get it, man. I'm not a fan either, to be honest. I think they're going to
Their
be
saving
making
grace is that they're in the most trash division in baseball, and that's it.
exactly,
And that's
exactly.
the only reason for why I think they can go over. So, yeah.
Yep. So let's hop into my favorite team in the AL Central, the Kansas City Royals, because I think they have potential to really be a great team this season.
Alright,
The projections don't really show it. Their over under is set at 82.5. They have added Matt Strahm, decent relief pitcher from the Phillies.
right.
They've added Lane Thomas. They've added Starling Marte. They've added Alex Lange, Isaac Collins, Nick Mears, Cameron Misner, John Means, who was, not that long ago, like a really solid dude for the Orioles. They've lost Yastrzemski, Lorenzen, who was really good last year, weirdly. MJ Melendez, he's on the Mets. Hunter Harvey's Angels, Angel Zerpa, who was awesome in the World Baseball Classic, and I think he's going to have a really, really big year for the Brewers. Taylor Clark, Randall Grichuk, and Adam Frazier. So, give us the lineup, give us the rotation, and then we'll break it down from there because there are a ton of names on this Kansas City Royals team
Mm.
that I fell in love with during the World Baseball Classic. So, let me
Yeah,
know.
so lineup is, well, this will just be like, Garcia these are just the names. Garcia, Witt, Pasquantino, Salvi Perez, Jack Caglione, who's one of the top prospects in baseball, came up a little bit earlier than some people would have anticipated, struggled a little bit, but showed signs. Jonathan India, Carter Jensen, Isaac Collins, who was a respectable good player with the Brewers, but they had way too many guys, and
Yep.
Kyle Isbell. They have some depth. It's not awful. With the squad, Marte is obviously a leader within a team. If he's just a DH, obviously fine. That's probably the anticipation there.
Yeah.
I mean, the left side of this infield is probably the best in baseball,
Yeah.
and
It's awesome.
they are studs. And I'm not saying that because I had them in fantasy last year too. They are just like Bobby Witt is actually all around one of the best shortstops I've seen I know Lindor for quite some time, all around great shortstop
Dude,
too.
I listen, we could both say right now, we're both Mets
Oh, well, no,
fans.
no, no, he's better than Lindor, but I meant, like,
Yeah. Well, I
to
mean,
come through talent-wise as a
yeah.
shortstop, just like he is that guy, great hitter, stud leader, he's gonna be there for a very long time. Pasquantino, we saw some of his intangibles. Caglione is really, like, the big shift in this.
Yes,
He lives up to the hype, they have a great shot at the division.
I agree.
That there's a question mark there, and then
Yeah,
there's the pitching staff, which
yeah.
which ultimately, like, we can get into. Reagan's has stuff. He's got talent.
I love
Had
Reagan.
health question marks. Even when he was healthy, not his finest season. Lugo is just kind of old reliable there. Michael Walker is still like, listen, respect. He's still got a career going.
And
I
Bubich,
got
man. Bubich was awesome last year. People could say whatever they want about Chris
well, no, no,
Bubich.
yeah,
He was
go
great.
for
Like,
go
I
for that. I love in the bullpen Lucas Urseg. I think he's got nasty stuff. Talented pitcher. That's just a
yeah,
fun guy that I like to watch. They can win this division
they
for
can,
sure.
for
For
sure.
sure. I think the lineup has upside. I think the staff is obviously the biggest question mark.
Yeah.
Can they produce at like a top half level in the AL or just good enough to rack up wins against this garbage division? That's ultimately what it comes down to.
And I think
82
they
and a
will
half is
be
a
able
low
to.
number.
Yeah.
82 and a half is a low number. I have them over.
I totally agree. I also have them over. I mean, I'm in love with the top half of the lineup, 1 to 5 is awesome. I'm not
Yeah.
huge at Salvia in this point in his career, but Maikel Garcia, World Baseball Classic MVP, this guy's flying around the bags. You're adding that with the speed of Bobby Witt Jr., with the power of Pasquantino, with Caglione's ability to hit for average, to hit for
Mm,
power. He's a great RBI guy. Like, Salvia is a big power bat at this point in his
yep,
career. I'm sure if I had to guess by the end of the season, I think Salvi probably takes a step back. He'll probably be lower in this lineup. I think
right.
Caglione or Pasquantino could probably take that cleanup role, no issue. Jonathan India, this is a guy that won Rookie of the Year. Like we forget that some of the guys in this
His
lineup have
dad's a
done a
Mets
lot.
fan too.
Yeah, he is. Yes, he is. Which is like that's like the funny clip. He's like, yeah, my dad doesn't even watch my own
But he
games.
grew up in Florida too, that's the other funny part.
That's random.
Yeah, I mean, respectable player, I guess just didn't really fit in Cincy. I like him. I've
Yeah.
always thought he was, like, fine. Find a place here in a team like this. Lane Thomas is not bad off the bench. I
No,
think that's a fine, like, utility piece, right? Like,
not
I
at
I
all.
mean,
Yeah,
I
I
know
mean,
it's not like, "Oh my god, Lane
yeah,
Thomas
no, you're
is
not licking
changing
your
fortunes."
chops over it. But I mean, same with
Is it a
Starling
lot to
Marte.
ask for 83 wins with this team? I don't think so. I think they could easily get 86, 87. It's a bad division. It's really
Martino,
bad.
am I seeing something wrong here? Like, why is the line
I
so
think I think
low?
it's because of the rotation. I think people have question marks on the rotation. I
You
think the
know,
rotation
that division, honestly, the rotation is really I'm not worried about it all that much whatsoever. I think Reagan's, Lugo, Wacha, that's solid. Like they are I think Reagan's has potential to be the ace of that rotation. He's
yes.
shown you he has that type of stuff. He's at that level as a pitcher. So, if you're gonna get that out of him, I think the Royals cruise to the AL Central title, and I think they absolutely obliterate this total of 82.5 wins.
Mm,
Give me somewhere around 87 to 89,
yeah.
maybe sneaking into 90 if everything goes to plan. That rarely ever happens in
Mm,
baseball, injuries, XYZ.
right.
But, I think at the upside is close to 90 wins, so it's an easy over for me. I'm riding with the Royals this season. I think they're gonna be great.
Yeah.
So let's hop on over to the Cleveland Guardians. They also good amount of it. Actually, no, the least amount of additions from most of these teams. To be honest, they have only added Colin Holderman. You remember him?
Mhm.
Sean Armstrong and Reese Hoskins. That's really the two like ghosts of Mets past between Reese Hoskins and Colin Holderman. Key losses: Lane Thomas, Jacob Junis, John Means, Tristan McKenzie, and Will Brennan. Uh, Listen, man, the Guardians are just another one of these teams that somehow, when you count them out, they find a way to make it happen.
Mm.
I don't see it this year. If you want to get into the lineup and the rotation, I'm not loving it.
Yeah, so, lineup, listen, top half of it is respectable. Jose Ramirez, one of the best third basemen of a generation,
For
zero
sure.
denying that. Steven Kwan, one of the best contact hitters in baseball. Angel Martinez, Kyle Manzardo, you just mentioned Reese Hoskins, Chase DeLauder. Gabriel Arias, Bo Naylor, Rock the Baby, and Brian Rocchio, excuse me. Listen, like you read them off on paper all the time with Cleveland. You're like, no way they're competing, no way that they're doing anything.
Exactly.
They're still one of the smarter orgs in baseball. They figure it out despite ownership working against them, very much like Major League. It's a low win total. It's low.
The
78 and a half. I could see over with that. Super hot second half of the year. Class A, they survived that, but they still had him for a couple months last season. That matters. That factors in. I
I
mean, the
just think it's
rotation,
crazy that
I
that
thought the
was
rotation also punched above weight.
it for sure. I mean, yeah, Tanner
They
Bibby
almost
was
no hit
pitching.
that they did. Who was it? Williams that almost no hit the Mets, and then Soto hit a home run in the ninth inning or something
Yes, yeah, yeah.
in that game.
Gavin Williams, yes. That is what happened. The rotation is where you could poke holes all day long. Tanner Bibby is a guy that, potentially could give you like 180 innings, and that would be a solid season for him. I think expecting anything lower than like a 3.5 ERA is wishful thinking. I don't know. I don't see it. This rotation is let's call it how it is, Martino, bro. This rotation is trash. I'm sorry, it's trash. It's not good. And all this stuff that's happened with the relievers, Luis Ortiz and Clase, it's just like a stain on the organization. Not, it's you know what? Let me take that back. It's not a stain on the organization.
Right.
It's a stain on kind of, I would say, the coaching and the other players in the locker room for not picking up on it sooner. I think that it's really, really strange that these guys were doing that for more than half the year and not a singular one of their teammates found it
Well,
kind of concerning that Emmanuel Clase was spiking balls. Like, we
and
know how good of a pitcher he is. That would never
wasn't it
happen.
also theorized that he was doing it before just this
Yeah.
past year? So,
Okay.
like, that's the other thing too. That's a really good point you raise. I bro, like, I just this division disgusts me, and this
It,
is, like, another team that, like, I think Jose Ramirez deserves better. I think he deserves to go to,
dude,
like, a
I
team
agree
that
with
wants
you,
to
but
try
he
and win.
first weirdly loves it there. I mean, he keeps signing these like
Cleveland's a
superstar
great sports
deals.
town. That's the
No,
thing.
for sure.
Cleveland's a
Yeah.
great sports town. Their run was also like a super hot run again too. You're
Yeah.
asking to repeat things that are not repeatable. I know it's baseball. It's always like shit always happens. It's crazy. 78 and a half low though. I think they could get like you're telling me low 80s for wins. I could see it happening. They
Yeah.
always still find a way to get guys. So
That's yeah.
that's
I'm
the
at
thing. Like
the
and also like this hits if they win 79 games, Dion. They could
I
win
know.
79 games in the Central.
I know. So I mean,
So I have them over, but I don't think they're good.
they won 88 last year. To like you said, to assume that they will replicate that second half of the season success, where I mean they kind of ran away with the division. Like you, that's not happening. I don't see that
Yeah.
happening again, especially now with a better Royals team. I think that the Central will have a tiny bit more competition for them. Like you said, I feel bad for J-Rem. He's kind of just like stuck in purgatory. They make the playoffs and just get bounced in the first round or the second round every single year. It feels like that's the story. I don't see anything necessarily that I like in this lineup outside of Steven Kwan and Jose Ramirez. Like Kyle Manzardo had a couple of moments last year. Reese Hoskins, he's going to be your 5 hole. He's going to be your DH for all of this. I don't really, I don't love it. So the sports book have him at 78 and a 5. 78 and a 5. 78 and a half. The Zips projected win is 79.
Hmm.
I'm also leaning under here. I think that luck and like just trying to figure it out on the fly with all these random dudes, I just don't see it. The bottom half of the lineup is brutal. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't see much going on over there outside of J Ram. There's a ton of not a ton of, but, like, there's a couple of guys here like Arias and Reese Hoskins that strike out a ton that don't really fit the mold of what the Cleveland Guardians were last year, so I'm interested to see what happens with a couple of those guys, because that's kind of what they're built around, contact and just being able to play amazing defense that keeps them in baseball games. That I know they'll do, but is it enough to put them over 78 and a half wins with all the question marks? I don't think so. I think it's
Yeah.
that simple, to be honest. So let's hop on over to the Minnesota Twins. who, we don't have to spend a ton of time on them.
Right.
We'll go through who they added. It's Caratini, Josh Bell, Taylor Rogers, Liam Hendricks, Andrew Chafin, and Anthony Banda. They've lost Edward Julian and Pearson Ole. If you want to read through their lineup and rotation real quick.
Yeah, I mean, also losing Pablo Lopez for the year too, huge loss
Yes.
for them. Buxton, Bell, Keishal, Matt Wallner, Caratini, Trevor Larnick, Ryan Jeffers, Royce Lewis, Brooksley. Again, I know Buxton kind of stated publicly that he didn't want to leave, and like he
Yes.
could say what he wants. They kind of fire sold a little bit. They held out for high prices on Duran last year at the deadline.
Yes.
Again, another ownership group that's flirting with selling, but they don't. They don't try and compete. I think much like what the Pirates have done, some of these other teams heading in to a lockout year where they're spending money to prove that like, hey, we're trying. I mean, I
Yeah.
have to rely on Buxton and Lewis to be healthy again.
Yeah.
I have to like when have they ever shown me that? But
Never.
pitching respectable. Absolutely. Joe Ryan's a dog. Another guy that they like considered trading, but no one really met their price for that.
I don't love the rotation after
No,
after Joe
Simeon Woods
Ryan at all.
Richardson is also a former Mets prospect. I'm pretty sure I forgot who he was traded for, but that was like a Brody Van Wagenen trade. Woods Richardson. He had the big old Uncle Charlie curve back in the day.
For with Toronto, no?
Right? I think it was in the Stroman trade. He might have been
Yes. At
was
least
sent
because
for.
he got traded to, I'm looking at his Fangraphs right now. He got traded to the Twins from Toronto, and I think we sent them to
Barrios
Toronto.
deal. Is that what it was? Maybe
Yeah, I
it.
have no.
It's Buxton is a stud. I respect Josh Bell as a hitter. Like this is just like what are we doing?
It's bad, man.
It's just
This is a guy that's been thrown all over how many major league lineups? Like, from his, like, solid postseason that he had with San Diego against the Mets, he hit a big home run against Scherzer. I
yeah.
don't know if you remember that.
No, of course, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is
The
a like, that there's no excuse for a player like Josh Bell at this point in his career to be your 2nd bat in your lineup. And I think if you read the rest of these names to, like, just, like, your average Joe Major League Baseball fan, maybe outside of Jefferson, Royce Lewis, who have just kind of been, those are names that are thrown around
those
in
are just names,
prospect
yeah.
talk from, like, years past. Uh, you know, n no one would really know any of these guys, and that's kind of where I'm at, especially with the rotation. Outside of Joe Ryan, Bailey Ober, that's your number 2 arm. Like, best case scenario is what, like a 4 ERA, and that's like
Like,
your
yeah,
2nd guy.
he's either awful or he's really good, and it's just no in
So
between, and he's more awful than he's good.
exactly.
They're
And then the
just
back end
they're
is
just
scary
bad.
too. It's like Mick Abel hasn't been like, if he wasn't able to figure it out with the Phillies and what's done with the couple starting pitchers over there, he's gonna be able to do it in Minnesota. I don't know.
They another team that got off to a rough start, somehow the Mets just lost a series to them in Minnesota.
Yeah,
Um,
of course they did.
72 again, when we go by projection, 72 and a half is low.
It
For a
is.
team to for a team to lose under 70 baseball games, a lot of bad stuff has to happen. Still possible. I can go over, like, this team could win 74 games. Cool. They're just they're trash, and they should sell high on some of these guys.
Yeah, if I
That's
were
where it
them,
could
I
get the
mean,
under can come into play.
so
If
what I
I'm
don't.
them, I don't care if Byron Buxton loves Minnesota. I am shipping you off, brother. If
Yeah.
I get an offer from a team that thinks that they can go all in and win something, and they have like some prospects that have some potential, I'm shipping you out. Joe Ryan, yeah, probably. Like, what am I gonna do? He's
Why are they
29.8 years
keeping
old.
these guys? For what? What
I
are they
don't
doing?
that's the point. When you trade Duran, then what are you doing?
Yeah.
Royce Lewis, same like I don't understand the
No,
long-term
you're right.
outlook.
Yeah, that
It's
it
just
is like a makes
it's
you
just
scratch your
good
head.
frame.
Why would you get rid of Duran for the package that you did, but, like, you're holding on to all these other guys for what
And
exactly? Like, a
who is the kid again from, Philly that they got in the deal?
McAble?
Mc I saw him that there's not enough movement
No.
in the pitch. It comes out, like, flat. You know, like,
Flat.
when some
No,
guys,
exactly. Yeah,
they
I
throw in,
agree.
like, fast like, it could be 96 miles an hour, but does it move like 96,
That's
where
the
it's tough to pick up
that's
on?
the Ryan Stanek issue, right? Guys
Yeah,
pumping 99 plus, but if
right.
it's flat, it's easy to read for these hitters.
For
I mean,
these guys, yeah.
the numbers, like, the velocity numbers at this level in the major leagues, it's so slight. Like, the difference between 98 to 100, these guys, it's barely anything for them.
In the
So
modern era too, right? It's not
yeah,
2006.
exactly. So where
It's
all
not
these guys are
2006.
ready to hit that speed regardless, right? So if it doesn't have a good shape and it doesn't have any movement to it, the way that, the crochets and the schoolboys are able to pump gas and it's like, how the hell am I hitting this? He doesn't have that.
No,
Uh,
so
and he doesn't have like the craftiness of someone like I don't know, like just a very stereotypical example, like a Maddox or someone where he has a
right.
ton of pitches and you don't need to
Location,
depend on
yeah.
velocity to be a good pitcher. Or like a McLean, that's a perfect example. Like he doesn't have that. So
No,
the
it's not
rotation kind of
believable.
sucks. Lineup kind of sucks. They're at 72 and a half. I guess I kinda just I have to go over, but not once again, not by a lot. It's gonna
Reluctantly,
be
yeah.
73, 74 wins. I could easily see it going under. There would need to be so many things that go right for them to hit even, like, 80 wins. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't see it
Oh,
at all.
80 would be stunning.
I agree. It would be totally stunning. So I don't see it at all. Let's hop on over to the bottom of the barrel in the American League Central, the Chicago White Sox. I got my White Sox hat on today. I don't know why. I think I knew we were recording an American League video. So I was like, all right, let me throw on an American League hat today. Man, they are set at 67 and a half wins, and they've had a couple of decent additions. They've added Murakami, Sir Anthony Dominguez, Anthony Kay, Jordan Hicks, Austin Hayes. Not bad, like a couple decent names. They also got Luis Angel Acuna from the Mets and that Luis Robert Jr. trade, Eric Fetty, Sean Newcomb, and Jared Kelenic. That's a couple weird like old Mets prospects on the White Sox. Not surprised. And then, of course, key losses Luis Robert Jr., Martin Perez, Tyler Alexander, Michael A. Taylor, who retired,
Yeah,
Miguel Castro, and Mike Talkman. Uh, Listen, man, I don't even want to spend a lot of time on them because it's just we know what we're doing right now. Like I'm not going to try and convince you guys that the White Sox are going to be a good team this year. I like a couple of the guys in their lineup. I like Mydroth, I like Teal, I like Montgomery. And the big question here is Murakami. Like if Murakami can turn into like a 30 to 40 home run bat, why couldn't they go over 67 and a half wins? It's not like I know we're splitting hairs here, but like
and
this is such a low total that
right.
I'm weirdly trying to convince myself that they've done enough in the prospect department and bringing in Murakami where the offense could take a slight jump. So, they would be going from 60 wins. Did they do enough to get 7.5 wins more? That's what it is. Did they get and honestly, with some of the names I just read, I know it's hard to make the case
Right.
after Vargas and Benintendi, Austin Hayes, like, these are decent players. No, they
Decent.
aren't bad by any stretch of the imagination. The problem is the rotation outside of Shane Smith. Um,
It's
the only
trash.
only other name that I'm, like, truly familiar here
Fetty.
with is Eric Fetty, yeah, who was, like, one of the worst pitchers in baseball over the past couple of years. So, we'll see what happens there, but yeah, 67.5 is really low.
It's a joke.
I'll take the over. I know I'm gonna be wrong, but I wanna be right, so I'll take the over.
Yeah, I do think that they're more respectable lineup wise. I this is just I think they are a stain on the sport. Jerry Reinsdorf is a stain on Major League Baseball.
There's a stain on the
And
NBA too,
if
man.
it
The
wasn't
Bulls
for
are horrible.
If it wasn't for Michael Jordan and Kenny Williams, he'd be the most irrelevant goddamn guy to ever exist.
Yeah,
He's just horrible, and I think what he has built here is pathetic. Gates also thinking that Luis Angel Acuna was a switch hitter was also the most embarrassing thing that had happened this offseason.
so bad.
I like Angel Acuna if my team could use like a super utility player that has elite speed, which he
Yeah,
does. He's a good glove. He's going to be able to do all that. Like fundamentally, they're a better baseball team. But how much worse can you get than what it was the past 2 years? They were
exactly.
flirting right with like they're in Casey Stengel New York Mets territory for
Yes,
awful.
yeah,
And that is
exactly.
really, really difficult to do in the modern era. Okay. And there are enough bats here to get to 70 wins, maybe. But the
Maybe.
pitching is just like this is like batting practice. And again, some of the names that they also have, like those guys could be traded. Again, it's the
Yeah,
trade deadline kind of stuff. where it's like, oh, but like we have a hole on this team. We're kind of semi competing. We might have a chance at a wild card, this or that. Like Austin Hayes was potentially going to the Mets, potentially
Yeah,
going to the
that's
Yankees.
that you're right. That's what could kill the 67.5 wins. I mean, them shipping out like a couple of the dudes that we just mentioned to
Right.
teams that are actually competing could really screw it. So, I mean, I see both sides of the argument here. I
Yeah,
really
yeah,
do.
yeah. It's just a really low win total. I
It
can't
is.
remember the last time I saw a team at this number, but
I
yeah,
know, man. It's
68
crazy.
wins, cool. Yeah, sure, take over, I guess, because it's so low.
Yeah, exactly. So that is the AL Central in review. Let us know what you guys think about these over unders. Leave some good comments. I'll get back to you guys. But yeah, it's a brutal division. I don't really expect much out of anyone here besides Kansas City and a little bit from Detroit. Outside of
Mhm.
that, I think the rest of the division is pretty trash. So we'll take a bit of a break and we'll be right back. All right, guys, if you enjoyed that content, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know how you feel about the video. This is the Z Report with your host, Dion Zervos, and we will catch you guys on the next one.